afternoon, class. Now, our topic today is theory of what? Demand. So, before I start, I will just write some things that we need to identify under theory of demand. So, one of the first things that I will be talking about is the definition of demand. The definition of demand. Now, the second thing I will be talking about is types of demand. The third thing is factors of demand. The fourth thing is the elasticity of demand. Elasticity of demand. So, I think within the time frame, we should be able to talk about 2 to 3 things under this what? Under this, what I highlighted on the board. Now, before we start grammatically, the theory of demand, we need to understand something. In economics, anything related to theory normally comes with a law. Anything related to theory or any topic which has theory normally have what? Normally have a law. For example, theory of production. Under theory of production, we have what? Law of diminishing return, or law of variable proportion, or law of no proportional return. Now, under theory of marginal utility, we have law of diminishing marginal utility, and also the theory of demand that we have, we also have law of demand. Now, before we understand the definition of demand, we need to know the reason why people engage in demand. Am I communicating? Now, you must know that people engage in demand just because of 2 things. The first thing is that people engage in demand just because of the likeness. Why people engage in demand also just because of the what? Low price. The first thing I said is that we need to understand why people engage in demand. Now, the first thing is likeness, and the second thing is what? Low price. Now, if you look at it, the reason why we do purchase commodities sometimes, even though the price is very, very high, even though the price is very, very high, is because of the likeness of that commodity. Am I communicating? For example, you can see an average man who is receiving 40,000 naira at the end of the month. At the end of the month, as is our basic salary. Now, if you now look at the man, you see that if you want to buy something, maybe let's take for instance, you want to buy iPhone 11 Pro Max. If you look at it, now that 40,000, if you look at it, it cannot be enough in order to purchase this iPhone. If you collect or you receive his remuneration or his monthly salary at the end of the month. So, but based on the fact that he loves the commodity or he likes the commodity, he will have to contribute maybe for a year or 2 years before he can purchase the commodity. So that's the first thing. Another thing is that we purchase commodity just based on what? Based on low price. That's why we do have the law of demand. Now, the law of demand states that what? The higher the price of a commodity, the lower the what? Quantity that will be demanded, and vice versa. So, an average human being normally purchases commodity just because of the fact that it is what? It is of low price. That's why we do have under marginal utility that we said MUX all over PX is equals to MUY all over what? All over PY. I get what I'm saying. Or we do have something like this. MUX all over PX more than MUY all over what? PY. That is, you only purchase commodity that will give you high commodity at low price. That is, this X will be more preferable than what? Than Y. Based on the what? Based on the commodity. So, as an average human being, we do purchase commodity based on the what? The low price. That's why I do tell people that every individual is economist by nature. By nature, we are what? We are economists. Just because of the fact that there are some people, when they get to market, am I communicating? When they get to market, they will try to what? To bargain the price of that commodity in order to beat the price and what? And enjoy the large commodity they want to buy. So that's it about that. So let's continue. So based on that, we do purchase commodity based on its likeness and based on what? Low price. Now let's move down to the definition of what? To the definition of economics. Now, to the definition of demand. Now, if we look at demand, demand has two things that we also need to know. We have what we call the willingness. The willingness and what? Ability. Now, in short terms, I can just say demand can be defined as the willingness and ability to purchase a particular commodity at a what? At a given price and at a what? Particular period of time. Let me say it again. Demand can be defined as the willingness and ability to purchase a particular commodity. A particular commodity at a given price and at a particular period of time. At a particular what? Period of time. Now, looking at the definition. Now, listen. In an advanced level, there's what we call stock and flow. There's what we call what? Stock and flow. But I don't need to explain that. When we get to the advanced level, we understand what I'm saying. Now, looking at it, demand simply means what? The willingness and ability to what? To purchase a particular commodity at a what? At a given price and at a particular period of what? Period of time. That simply means demand. Now, as an individual, before you can engage in demand, it must be supported or backed up by willingness and what? Ability. If it is not backed up by what? Willingness and ability to purchase that commodity, we call it ineffective demand. We call it what? Ineffective demand. So that one is the opposite of what? Opposite of demand. So if it is not backed up by the ability and willingness to what? Purchase that commodity, it is called ineffective demand. So demand must be backed up by the willingness and ability to pay for that commodity. So apart from this, we also have what we call the types of demand. I get what I'm saying. The types of demand. We also have what we call types of demand law. Now, actually, under demand, the law that we do have is subdivided into two. The law that we have is subdivided into two. We have normal demand law. We have what? Normal demand law and what? Abnormal demand law. Normal demand law and what? Abnormal demand what? Law. Now, under that criteria, the normal demand law is the one that is very, very common that we know. We do know very well. Now, the normal demand law states that the higher the price of a commodity, the higher the price of a commodity, the higher the price of a commodity, the lower the quantity that will be what? That will be demanded. The higher the price of a commodity, the lower the what? Quantity that will be what? Demanded. The higher the price of a commodity, the lower the what? Quantity that will be what? Demanded. Now, this is an abstract drawing. Now, if you look at this curve, it looks like it is negative sloping actually. We have P, P1, P0. We have Q0, Q what? 1. All things being equal, if there is increase in price of a commodity, there will be what? Decrease in quantity demanded. So this one is simply explaining the what? The normal demand law, which states that the higher the price of a commodity, the lower the what? Quantity that will be demanded. Am I communicating now? Now, if you now look at it, now, you can see that there's something here. Now, and whenever you see any curve doing like this, curve normally, the curve of demand is always negative sloping. It's always what? Negative sloping. It can never be positive, except we are talking about abnormal demand law. The curve of demand is what? Is negative sloping. Am I communicating? Now, before we get to another aspect, there's something I want to explain under this curve. Now, there's what we call contraction of demand contraction of demand and extension of demand. Contraction of demand and what? Extension of demand. Now, if you look at contraction, from the dictionary meaning, contraction means when you try to adjust or suppress something. So contraction of demand simply means when the price is what? When the price is increasing, we have contraction. Whenever the price is increasing, we have what? Contraction. Whenever the quantity demand is what? Is increasing, we have extension. Now, we have contraction and we have what? Extension. Whenever the price is increasing, we have contraction. Whenever the quantity demand is what? Is increasing, we have extension. Are you getting that now? So that's all about contraction of demand and what? Extension of demand. Don't forget, the demand curve is negative what? Sloping. I get what I'm saying. Under the normal demand law, we state that the higher the price of a commodity, the lower the quantity that will be what? That will be demanded. Now, let's now talk about the second law now. Now, the second law that we have is the abnormal demand law. Abnormal demand law. Now, this abnormal demand law, like I said, the reason why it is abnormal is just because of the fact that it negates the normal demand law. Now, look at it. Look at the curve now. Mind my drawing, you know. So we have P, we have P0, P1, we have Q0, we have Q1. So this is what? This is the curve. Don't mind my drawing. This is the curve of what? The abnormal demand law. Now, the abnormal demand law states that the higher the price of a commodity, the higher the what? Quantity that will be demanded, and vice versa. So, based on this, looking at the curve, you look at it as if, how is this possible? Now, this abnormal demand law is based on a lot of things. The first thing is that there's what we call articles of ostentation. We have what we call what? Articles of ostentation. I get what I'm saying now. Now, this thing, what I call articles of ostentation is that commodity that command high price. I get what I'm saying now. Any commodity that command high price, you will only what? You will purchase it at an high what? At an high price. For example, if you look at those that are very, very rich in the society, they are not going to consume anything that is of low price because it will devalue them. Do you understand? Let me give you an instance. If you have a child, maybe you are one of the richest man in Africa. Am I communicating? Now, you can't afford to take your child to a less privileged school. Like maybe a school like Nigerian University. Or although you might be from Nigeria, you want to take your children or child to one local school, even though it is federal. So definitely, what you are being affected by is articles of ostentation, because articles of ostentation is based on what? Is based on anything that command high price. Example, that's where we have diamond. We have diamonds, we have gold. I get that now. So if the prices increases, the what? The quantity demand will what? Will also increase. It is applicable to the rich people. Do you understand now? It is applicable to the what? To the rich people. Do you understand? So we also have something like war. War. Now, during the period of war, or during the period of anything called like famine or diseases, I get what I'm saying. Whenever the price of a commodity increases, the quantity demand will also increase. Do you understand? People will buy commodity a lot so that they can keep it. Do you understand? Maybe for self-benefit or for some other uses. So that's the reason why we don't call it what? Abnormal demand law. Now let's move further. Apart from normal demand law and abnormal demand law, we also have what we call types of demand. The one that I explained just now is only dealing with what? The types of demand law. Now let's move to the types of demand. Actually, we have four main types of demand. We have four main types of demand. The first one we have is derived demand. Derived demand. Derived demand. Now, I left something, I didn't tell you something under the abnormal demand law. The abnormal demand law is positive sloping. It is what? Positive sloping. Why the normal demand law is what? Negative sloping. Are you getting what I'm saying now? So we have derived demand, we have composite demand, we have composite demand, we have joint or complementary demand, we have joint or complementary demand, we have substitute or competitive demand. So these are the four types of demand we have. We have derived demand, composite demand, joint or complementary demand, substitute or what? Competitive demand. So let's take it one by one. Like I said, derived demand. Derived demand is one of the is a type of demand in which necessitates another thing. I get what I'm saying. You don't possess or you don't want to engage in derived demand just because you love the commodity. I get what I'm saying, but what the commodity can produce. For example, a great example of derived demand is a labor. I get what I'm saying. You don't employ a labor just because of the fact that you love the labor. Now, derived demand. An example of derived demand is where we have labor. Labor, we don't engage or we don't want labor just because of the fact that we love them. No. What do we want them for? Now, we love labor just because of the fact or the offer it can give us. Do you understand? The offer we can benefit for them. That's the reason why we do have labor. So a great example of derived demand is what? Is labor, because it necessitates other things. Do you understand now? So that's derived demand. Now, before I explain composite demand, let me move to joint or complementary demand. Now, joint or complementary demand is a type of demand in which the commodity cannot be what? Cannot be used without one another. I get what I'm saying now. The commodity cannot be what? Cannot be used without one another. Do you understand? Example. Or in another case, we can say increase in price of one will reduce the demand of another. I get what I'm saying. Let me say it again. Joint or complementary demand is a type of demand in which they are what? They cannot be used without one another. Or increase in price of one commodity will reduce the what? Quantity demand of another. For example, now let's look at it. Now, we have an example of car and petrol. Car and petrol. Now, a car cannot move without the use of what? Petrol. These are examples of what? Joint or complementary demand. There are two types of commodity in which they cannot be used without one another. Do you understand now? Let me give you an instance. We also have kerosene and what? And stove. Kerosene and what? So this type of commodity, they cannot be what? Used without what? One another. So an increase in price of one will what? Increase the demand of another. Now this joint or complementary demand has its own curve. Has its own what? Curve. Now let's look at it. Let's look at the curve.
10 minutes more.
10 minutes more, okay. Let's look at the what? Let's look at the curve. Now look at it. The joint or complementary, like I said, increase in price of one will what? Reduce the quantity demand of another. Let's name our car as C and our petrol as P. So if there is increase in price of what? If there is increase in price of car, what will be the effect on petrol? People will not use petrol just because of the fact that petrol is meant for what? For cars. So people will reduce the quantity demand of what? Of petrol. Just because we are using petrol to fuel our car. So we now have C like this, and our petrol is P. Do you understand? So now, apart from this, if there is increase in demand of what car, the price of what? The quantity demand of petrol will what? Will reduce. Don't forget, we normally use y-axis to represent price, and we use x-axis to represent what? Quantity demanded. Do you understand now? And whenever we have y-axis meeting with the x-axis, whenever they are tangential, we call it point of origin. We call it what? Point of origin. And the point of origin is always what? 0. Is always what? 0. Am I communicating? So, if there is increase in price of car, there will be what? There will be reduction in the quantity demand of petrol. Why, if the price of petrol reduces, there will be increase in quantity demand of what? Of car. Do you understand? So whenever they ask us a question under what? Under joint or complementary demand, that the curve of joint or complementary demand, is it positive sloping or negative sloping? The answer will be what? It is negative sloping. It is what? Just because of the fact that it sloped downward from left to the right. It sloped what? Downward from to the right. Am I communicating? So that's the reason why we have joint or complementary demand. Do you understand? And don't forget what I said. Under joint or complementary demand, we also have contraction of demand and what? Extension of demand. Am I communicating now? Now, before I explain, let me move to the third one. We also have substitute or competitive. Substitute or competitive demand. We have substitute or what? Competitive demand. Now, let me just manage this piece here. We have substitute or competitive demand. Now, substitute or competitive demand are type of demand or kind of demand in which they can what? One can be substituted for another. I get what I'm saying. One can be what? Substituted for another. If you don't want to use the first one, you can use it for what? You can use the second one. I get what I'm saying. Or in another definition, we can just say increase in price of one will increase the quantity demand of what? Another. Now, don't misconstrue it together. The first one I said, under joint or complementary demand, I said increase in price of one will what? Reduce the quantity demand of another. But this one, increase in price of one will increase the quantity demand of another. Example of substitute on competitive demand is where we have Omo. Let's make use of soap. Omo and Good Mama. Omo and Good Mama. Now, let's not take for instance, this Omo and Good Mama, they are both 40 gram. If the price of this Omo, I guess what I'm saying, is 50 naira, and this Good Mama is 30 naira. Are you getting that? So, and they are both 40 gram. People will not what? Will not go for Omo, although all things being equal, we don't want to care about the quality now. So all things being equal, people will not what? Will not go for Omo. They will go for what? Good Mama. Just because of the fact that the price is what? The price is low. Now that means if there is increase in price of Omo, there will be increase in demand of what? Good Mama. That is what? Substitute demand or competitive demand. Do you understand now? If there is increase in price of Omo, there will be increase in demand of what? Good Mama. Let's now take for instance, the price of Omo is now 100 naira, although it's 40 gram, and the price of Good Mama is 20 naira. Which one will people prefer? People will prefer to go for what? Good Mama, irrespective of the quality. Do you understand? Because as a consumer, we must think what? Rationally. We must think what?
Rationally.
Do you understand? That's why they do regard economics as a miser. No, we are not miser. Do you understand? We are not what? Miser. Not because, we are not even stingy. Do you understand? We are not.
Stingy.
We are not stingy actually. But we are using our limited resources in satisfying what? Unlimited want. Do you understand? So if you have less in your pocket, you what? You will plan more. Do you understand now?
Yes, sir.
That's one of the problem that economics has not yet resolved now is just what? The problem of scarcity. Because human want is insatiable or unlimited. So let's continue. Now let's look at the curve of substitute or competitive demand. Now if you look at substitute or competitive demand, like I said, increase in price of one will what? Increase the quantity demand of another. Abi?
Yes, sir.
So if there's increase in price of one now, Mind my drawing, you know. Now, this is our OMU, Abi. Yes. Let's represent it with O. This is our what? Good mama. Now look at it. If there's increase in price of OMU, there will be what? Increase in demand of what? Good mama. Now, and I told you whenever the y-axis is tangential with the x-axis, the point of origin is always what? 0. I get what I'm saying? Yes. So, we have, now let's not take for instance, the price of OMU now what? Now reduces. Or the price of good mama. Or the price of OMU now reduces. The price of OMU now reduces from O and we have G. Do you understand? What will be the effect on good mama? The quantity demand will what? Will reduce. But when the price of OMU increases, I get what I'm saying. Yes. People prefer what? Good mama. But when the price of what? OMU decreases and good mama remain constant, do you understand? The quantity demand of good mama will reduce. Are you getting that? So that's why we have something like this. So this kind of curve, if they now ask you substitute or competitive demand, what kind of what slope is this? It is positive sloping. It's sloped upward from left to right. This is our left. This is our what? Right. This is our right. It's sloped what? Upward from left to right, and it is positive sloping. It is what? Positive sloping. Composite demand is a type of demand in which we benefit more than 2 commodity or more than 3 commodity from it. Do you understand? Yes. For example, electricity is a composite demand. Or its usefulness is more than what? Is more than 1. Do you understand? Example, electricity is an example of what? Is an example of composite demand. Now, under electricity, some will say, we only derive 1 commodity now, but no. We derive more than 1 commodity. Example, we have the likes of, we can use electricity in cooking. Abi? Yes. In ironing our clothes. Abi now? Yes. Apart from clothes, we do make use of it in the laundry. Those that have washing machine. Yes. Do you understand? So, based on this, electricity, we derive more than 1 benefit. So, any commodity that you derive more than 1 benefit, we can regard it as what? As composite demand. Do you understand? As what? Composite demand. So, and a great example that I've made now is what? Is electricity. We also have some commodities that we do derive a lot of benefits. Do you understand now? So, I think at this juncture, I would like to call it a day. In our next class, we'll continue from where we stop.